Hey, fifth grade. I'm back again. We're going to talk about second step lesson number 5, taking others' perspectives. So last week we talked about predicting emotions, and for this lesson today, we're going to learn about taking others' perspectives. So for the next several weeks, you're going to be learning and practicing skills to improve learning, getting along with others, and managing emotions. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is listening to the Walk, Walk, Walk video and thinking about what feelings words that we hear in the video, okay?
I bet you've had strong feelings coming from within. Hard to see another's point of view when you're in your own skin. Changing your perspective, thinking through your stuff. Empathy's not easy when the going gets rough. You know that it may be hard to think it through. Other people feeling different because they're not you. You gotta walk, walk, walk. Walk in their shoes. Take a look and see what they're seeing. Walk, walk, walk. Walk in their shoes. Try to understand what it would feel like to be them. You gotta walk, walk, walk. Walk in their shoes. Empathy is what we're saying. Recognize those feelings. You felt them too. That's empathy.
All right. I'm going to pause it right there. Okay, so we're going to go over some empathy. So this is the empathy poster. We need to remember that empathy is feeling or understanding what someone else is feeling. So looking at their face and body for clues, what's their point of view? How do they feel? How can you help? And what is a kind thing to say? Okay, so now we're going to go with our introduction. So, okay, so let's look at the pictures of these books. So you guys can tell that these are all books, right? Give me a thumbs up if you can tell that. I hope so. So these are all books, but they look different. Why do you guys think that they look different? Can you turn and talk to your neighbor? Why do these look different? I'm going to give you guys like 10 seconds to talk about what you think is different about them. Okay, so come back to me. So it looks like different artists designed them. Give me a thumbs up if you think that. They're different colors. Give me a thumbs up if you think that. And they have different details. Like this one, this person probably likes the color purple. This person that made this doesn't really like details, it looks like, or different kinds of details. This one likes bright colors. This one likes lines. And this one wanted you to know that they like dragons, right? The people who drew them were looking at the same object from different places, from their point of view, okay? And that means that they have different perspectives. People often have different perspectives and feelings about the same things and the same situations in real life too. People see things from their own point of view. Today we're going to talk more about trying to see others' perspectives and how it helps you get along better with each other. So the people who drew these pictures were looking at the same object, and we just talked about that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the videos. Okay, you guys. All right, so we are going to start by taking a look at different perspectives in the story about Lydia and Alexis. We're going to watch the story from Lydia's perspective, and as you watch the story, look for clues that tell you how Lydia is feeling.
So last night, my brother broke into my diary again, and I don't know how he keeps finding it. I keep hiding it.
Oh my gosh, me too. Hey, what do you think you're doing? No cuts.
What are you talking about?
We're in line.
Doesn't look like it to me.
Well, we are.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about that. What does Lydia think that just happened? Alexis just cut in front of her in line for the water fountain. Think about how Lydia felt about what just happened. Let's think. Angry. She's mad at Alexis for cutting in line. And then how can you tell? I could just tell by the way she looked, her tone of voice, what she was saying. And now we're going to see how the same scene looks from Alexis's point of view. This time we're going to look for clues that tell you how Alexis is feeling, okay?
We have got to get outside. I know, I really want the 5th grade hoop. So do I. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna get a drink of water while no one's in line.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? No cuts?
What are you talking about?
We're in line?
Doesn't look like it to me.
Well, we are.
Okay. So, let's see. Does Alexis think there is a line for the fountain? No. Now think about how Alexis felt about what just happened. Confused, defensive, very, very upset. And we can tell by the look on her face, her voice, and what she's saying and the way she's standing. The situation was the same in both of these scenes, but each student had different perspectives about what happened. How might it change Lydia's feelings about what happened if she were able to see the scene from Alexis's perspective? If she thought about her perspective, remember there's that word again, she may not be that angry. She would realize that it was her mistake and that Alexis didn't know that it was a mistake and that Alexis didn't know that there was a line. And then think about how Alexis might act differently if she were able to see the scene from Lydia's perspective. She would have realized there was a line and she would have waited her turn, right? You can see that if we put ourselves in other people's shoes and look at things from their perspective for a moment, it can help us respond to them in a more respectful and caring way. This will help us get along better with others. All right, so now let's practice and discuss our skills. So there's a scenario. During silent reading time in class, the teacher asked Garrett to close the window shade by his desk. When he pulled the string, the entire shade tumbled down, and the class laughed. The teacher said to leave it, and Garrett was really embarrassed. Later, as everyone was going to recess, Dylan walked up to Garrett and said in a friendly way, "Hey, that was so funny when you pulled on the window shade and the whole thing came down." Garrett snarled back, "Shut up!" and stomped away. We don't say that, right, guys? This is just an example. Dylan didn't understand why Garrett sounded so angry. So I want you to turn and talk to your neighbor about these questions. How do you think Garrett feels about just what happened? So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to turn and talk. How do you think Garrett feels about what happened? Remember, Garrett was the one that pulled the shade down. Okay. So you can turn back to me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And how can you tell? I'm sure you could tell because he was embarrassed. That was his perspective, right? And now I want you to turn and talk about how you think Dylan feels about just what happened. So turn and talk to your neighbor. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do that. Okay, turn back to me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I think Dylan thought that Garrett thought it was funny and did it on purpose. Give me a thumbs up if that's what you think. And you could tell because he was like, "Dude, that was so funny," right? So how might Garrett act differently if he understood Dylan's perspective? And how might Dylan act differently if he understood Garrett's perspective? What do you guys think? I'm going to give you all a few minutes to turn and talk to your neighbor about that. Or a few seconds. Okay, so come back to me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I think that Dylan would be like, "Oh, he thought like I did that on purpose. He thought that I thought it was funny." And I mean, that's what Garrett would think, and Dylan would think, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize that he thought that he was embarrassed when that happened." So it really is important to get different perspectives so you know how to treat someone and you know how to make them feel better. All right, so now we're going to take the Brain Pop Junior Empathy Quiz, you guys. Here we go. All right, so here's empathy. We've already watched this before. And even if you haven't, we're still going to do the quiz because we can do this. I believe in us. And the only thing I am nervous about is it's going to be loud. Okay, so let's start it.
Start!
Alrighty. So here's the quiz. So, how can you help someone who feels angry? Explain that they should always feel happy. Encourage them to take deep breaths. Make them tell you a funny story, or tell them that you had a great day. Which one do you think would be the best? Explain that they should always feel happy. Encourage them to take deep breaths. Make them tell you a funny story, or tell them they had a great day. All right, tell me what you think your answer is, guys. Okay, I have a feeling I know which one you're thinking. Let's see. Give me a thumbs up if you chose B. Good. Okay, so a new classmate is sitting alone at lunch and he looks sad. What could you say to make him feel better? Where did all your friends go? I have many friends to play with. You should go to the library and read. Would you like to have lunch together? Okay, which one do you think it is? A, B, C, or D? Okay, say it out loud to me. All right, I think I know which one you think it is. Good job, you guys. Okay. All right, this is another one. Mia tells Moby about her bad day at school. What should Moby do? Listen quietly as Mia talks. Go to the park and play. Tell Mia about his day. Ask Mia to tell a joke. Which one do you think it is, you guys? Go ahead and tell me. A, B, C, or D? All right, I think I know which one you're going to pick. Great job. Okay. All right, here's another one. Your friend lost a race and feels sad. What could you say to help her feel better? I like to run too. Why didn't you win? Maybe you shouldn't run races anymore. Remember, you're a really great runner. Which one do you think would make the most sense? A, B, C, or D? Good job. All right, here's another one. Becca jumps up and down, talks quickly, laughs. How do you think she feels? Worried, sad, excited, or angry? Okay, what do you guys think? A, B, C, or D? Good job. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up our lesson today. So today you explored how different people can have different perspectives and feelings about the same situation. Can people have different perspectives and still be friends? Yes, of course. Friends can have different perspectives as long as they respect each other's differences. How can understanding others' perspectives help you respond in a respectful and thoughtful way? You are able to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand what they feel or need. You will understand how they want to be treated. How would it feel if in your classroom, or in, our classroom, if we all really tried to understand one another's perspectives? We'd get along better, we would feel respected, and it would make a calmer environment, and it would be easier to learn. Now think about one time you can practice taking another person's perspective today. On the playground at lunch, or with friends. So there's this book called Those Shoes. It's about empathy and taking other people's perspectives. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you, but feel free to pause at this time if you don't have enough time for the lesson.
Hi, I'm Jody DaCosta, a school counselor in Harlan Elementary in the Brandywine School District. Today, I'll be reading Those Shoes by Mary Beth Boltz, illustrated by Nora Jones. This book is a wonderful book. All the students here at Harlan have heard this book, K to 5, and loved it, as my own family, Aaron and Leah, when they were little as well. I have dreams about those shoes. Black high tops, 2 white stripes. Grandma, I want them. There's no room for want around here, just need, Grandma says. And what you need are new boots for winter. Brandon T. comes to school in those shoes. He says he's the fastest runner now, not me. I was always the fastest before those shoes came along. Nate comes to school in those shoes. Antonio and I count how many times Nate goes to the bathroom. 7 times in one day, just so he can walk up and down the hall real slow. Next, Alan Jacoby and Terrence each get a pair. Then one day, in the middle of kickball, one of my shoes comes apart. Looks like you could use a new pair, Jeremy, Mr. Alfrey, the school counselor says. He brings out a box of shoes and other stuff he has for kids who need things. He helps me find the only shoes that are my size. Velcro, like the ones my little cousin Marshall wears. They have an animal on them from a cartoon I don't think any kid ever watched. When I come back to the classroom, Alan Jacoby takes one look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes and laughs, and so do Terrence, Brandon T., and everyone else. The only kid not laughing is Antonio Parker. At home, Grandma says, "How kind to Mr. Alfrey." I nod and turn my back. I'm not going to cry about any dumb shoes. But when I'm writing my spelling words later, every word looks like the word shoes, and my grip is so tight on my pencil, I think it might bust. On Saturday, Grandma says, "Let's check out those shoes you're wanting so much. I got a little bit of money set aside. Might be enough. You never know." At the shoe store, Grandma turns those shoes over so she can check the price. When she sees it, she sits down heavy. Maybe they wrote it down wrong, I say. Grandma shakes her head. Then I remember the thrift shops. What if there's a rich kid who outgrew his or got 2 pairs for Christmas and had to give one of them away? We ride the bus to the first thrift shop. Black cowboy boots, pink slippers, sandals, high heels, every kind of shoes except the ones I want. We ride the bus to the second thrift shop. Not a pair of those shoes in sight. Around the corner is the third thrift shop. I see something in the window. Black shoes with 2 white stripes. High tops. Perfect shape. $2.50. Those shoes. My heart is pounding hard as I take off my shoes and hitch up my baggy socks. How exciting, Grandma says. What size are they? I shove my foot into the first shoe, curling my toes to get my heel in. I don't know, but I think they fit. Grandma kneels on the floor and feels for my toes at the end of the shoe. "Oh, Jeremy," she says, "I can't spend good money on shoes that don't fit." I pull the other shoe on and try to walk around. "They're okay," I say, holding my breath and praying that my toes will fall off right then and there. But my toes don't fall off. I buy them anyway with my own money, and I squeeze them on and limp to the bus stop. At home, a few days later, Grandma puts a new pair of snow boots in my closet and doesn't say a word about my 2 big feet shuffling around in my 2 small shoes. "Sometimes shoes stretch," I say. Grandma gives me a hug. I check every day, but those shoes don't stretch. I have to wear my Mr. Alfrey's to school instead. One day during math, I glance at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up, and his feet look smaller than mine. After school, I head to the park to think. Antonio is there, the only kid who didn't laugh at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. We shoot baskets. A loose piece of tape on Antonio's shoe smacks the concrete every time he jumps. I think, I'm not going to do it. We leap off the swings. I'm not going to do it. We race from one end of the playground to the other. I'm not going to do it, I say. Do what? Antonio says, breathing hard. Grandma calls me for supper and invites Antonio over too. After supper, he spies my shoes. "How come you don't wear them?" Antonio asks. I shrug. My hands are sweaty. I can feel him wishing those shoes were his. That night, I'm awake for a long time thinking about Antonio. When morning comes, I try on my shoes one last time. Before I can change my mind, the shoes are in my coat. Snow is beginning to fall as I run across the street to Antonio's apartment. I put the shoes in front of his door, push the doorbell, and run. At school, Antonio is smiling big in his brand new shoes. I feel happy when I look at his face and mad when I look at my Mr. Alfrey shoes. But later, when it's time for recess, something happens. Everywhere there is snow. Leave your shoes in the hall and change into your boots, the teacher announces. Leave your shoes in the hall? It's then that I remember what I have in my backpack. New boots. New black boots that no kid has ever worn before. Standing in line to go to recess, Antonio leans forward and says, "Thanks." I smile and give him a nudge. Let's race! Thank you for joining us for Those Shoes by Mary Beth Bolts.
Okay, guys, see you next time.